Alright, it says we are live now.
All right, cool. Is it popping up on the channel?
Yeah, I think we're live.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Money Stop. We have had a lot of issues trying to get up and running tonight. We really apologize just for the wait. We were supposed to start at 9, did not quite happen. Had a lot of computer issues on my end. Actually, had to switch over to a different computer entirely. So here I am working off a different computer. You may notice my audio immediately sounds different. So you'll be able to kind of tell the difference. But um, welcome into the Money Stop. We have a good show for you guys tonight. And I think that we will probably be on a little later than expected just because we're kind of cutting way into our time frame, but we'll make best with what we have. So let's just jump right in. Um, I want to thank Laner for jumping in last minute. Kind of, he's doing all the streaming right now. So thank you, and happy to be here doing another episode with you.
Of
But
course. Yeah.
working despite the chaos. All right, so let's talk about Charlotte slash Texas. Um, so obviously, leading up to the race this past weekend, we had, I think, anticipation of running the full race here. Did not quite go to plan. Ended up switching over to Texas and finished the race there. Um, if I'm correct, I believe I'm correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Um, how what was that process like behind closed doors, like with discussing the track change? Obviously, I was not able to make it, but I did see some of the clips from some of the drivers and some of the highlights from the race. But um, from your perspective, what was the decision making like behind closed doors that led you to the track change?
Uh, well, Charlotte ended up just kind of being really narrow and hard to pass in dirty air. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, so really, I don't know. There's really not that many usable lanes of traffic there, so it kind of became really difficult for the people that were back in the dirty air. And we were
Mhm.
wrecking pretty constant. I would compare it to like Atlanta, because the pack really wasn't separating, which was also kind of an issue because if the field had gotten spread out, it probably would have made things a little bit easier for people to make passes. But whenever we're all just staying together in a drafting style pack, it's really hard for anybody to make moves. So unfortunately, Charlotte didn't work out. That'll be something that we're looking into for next season to hopefully find a better model so we can return there. But we made do with what we had. The decision to go to Texas was mostly just because they have the same layout, like the shape of the trioval's the same. So really, Texas was like the only option to me, just because they're shaped similar. But I don't really think Texas put on a great race, so it was kind of just a crappy weekend overall, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, we are down in Richmond this weekend. You'll see behind us that some of the cars are racing very rigorously and very aggressively right now, trying to log some laps. What do you think will be the biggest difference from being at both of those tracks to here this weekend? Do you think we'll still see kind of the same thing, or do you think that it will be kind of a 180 with the performance from the cars?
Well, I feel a lot better about it now that we did the whole D2 thing where we're testing out the tracks before we go there. I feel good about Richmond because we already ran a race here last week. So I think going forward, running the D2 races the week before will kind of help us catch any of the issues that may arise. The issue that's been happening is that the first time that cars have been on track is during the race. And it kind of makes it
Mm,
difficult for us to pivot and make the correct decisions whenever we're not aware of any of these issues until it's time to go racing. And honestly,
yeah.
it kind of gives the league a bad look for people that are maybe racing for the first time or maybe tuning into the stream. They probably think this league is just a total shit show, which sometimes that might be true. Um, but really, I mean, this season it's just kind of been unfortunate circumstances. So I think the D2 races will help a lot. Like I feel really good about Richmond. I feel prepared going in. I don't really think that we're gonna see many issues because I mean we already ran a 90 lap race without any issues. So it makes me feel a lot more prepared going in.
Good, good. Well, that gives us some confidence then, some hope. Um, I would say just like from like my perspective, I would say I wasn't too involved in like obviously the decision making or anything like that. Um, but I would say like I think there has to be a better structure to how to test these tracks that are new. Because like where we're retrieving the tracks from, there's a lot of detail to these tracks. So we don't really know like how the cars are going to handle. Um, like behind us right now, for example, there's what, maybe 5 or 6 cars out on track. And occasionally I'm seeing them uh, with a little bit of lag. Um, so it's just like, I don't know if it's the track. I don't know if it's the game. I don't know if it's the cars. It's like, it's really hard to kind of figure out right now what the issue might be and why we can't run at certain tracks. Um, I know that, like, obviously, the super speedways are struggling just a little bit with the bumper locking and or the cars getting stuck together. Um, and just general lag issues at some of the tracks, but um like it's a lot more this season, I think, than we've seen on either Reborn or Rosim. So it's just like, or Row Muscle, went through the iterations and the changes of the cars. Um, I'm just not really sure what to like make of the I guess like the season so far in terms of like staying consistently at the same tracks like that are scheduled. Um, it seems like we've just had a lot of issues with lag, and there definitely has to be a better kind of structure. Whether like, I know you and I talked about this, but like whether we do like test races, for example, beforehand, um, or like, you know, trying to figure out something else, because obviously like we have a second division starting, um, and I've already kind of said my piece before on the podcast, but like I know I wouldn't want them kind of being the piggybacks for, trying to see if Cup can run there or not. That's something that should be figured out, I think, beforehand. So that way they can also have a successful race. And they're not facing the brunt of like, oh, well, should we change tracks or should we not? Um, I feel like, there has to be some sort of way we can work around that as a league and try and figure out an alternative for just trying to make sure that everybody has an equal experience at racing,
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think unfortunately that's just kind of what this season has come to. In a way, I feel like it's just kind of going to be a little bit messy, um, because I mean,
Oh, hold on, Laner. I don't know. Can people still hear us? Somebody said the stream went black. So I
um,
don't know. Can people still hear us? Just want to confirm.
I have no idea what happened.
I believe we're still live. Yeah, but it is black on YouTube, like pitch black.
Okay, well that is interesting. I have no idea what's causing that. It's not black on Streamlabs, so all right. Well, that's just
Guys,
yeah.
okay.
All right. It looks like we're
Guys,
back.
the audio issues and the we had audio issues in the beginning. Like I couldn't hear Laner for a good like 5, 10-ish minutes once I hopped on and could not hear him at all. And then we had this problem trying to figure out OBS and trying to set up everything. So tonight's just not been our night with trying to set up for the podcast.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll try and power through this thing. I guess it's one of those episodes. I guess, but sorry to cut you off. I just wanted to make sure people wanted to hear us and make sure that they did hear us.
Yeah, no, you're good. I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, I think this season unfortunately is just gonna kind of be like that. Just because the cars are new and the tracks are new and uh, everything along those lines, it's just kind of unfortunate. But hopefully these lag issues do get fixed. I think that's kind of like the core thing that has been an issue so far, but it's definitely something that we are working on. Probably won't be ready this season, so I don't really think people should get their hopes up too high for that, but we are definitely hopeful that we will have that for next season. So, yeah, I think, like I said, I think this season's just going to kind of be like that, and then next season we can kind of expand on what we've done this year and kind of be better for it in a way.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to say like the season's like a test run, but it's kind of like it's like shaping up to be a test run, I think, at this point. Um, and I don't think it's any of your guys' fault, in terms of you and Icy, but like I just think that there has been a lot going on, a lot of notes to take for next season. Um, so I think that, when it comes to prepping for next season, I think a lot of things will be better. But I think it's taken kind of this season to like it takes the full season to kind of figure out what kinks there are and like how to iron them out. Um, Kind of like with the next gen car in 2022 when like they debuted it. Obviously there was some issues with that car that they are still working on, but like cars were flipping every freaking race at Daytona. So um, it's just one of those things where you kind of have to like just work on it as you go, I guess. But you know, just one of those things that just take notes of as you go and hope for the best.
Yeah, I agree. Also, the chat is going wild tonight. I don't know, I don't know what they're even talking about half of the time, but I just want to throw that out there. Um, you guys are a little bit crazy tonight. So hats off to you guys. Very very wild night in the chat, and we have something flying up to our
Yeah.
window now. So that's great. If as everybody can see behind the window, looks like a little cinnamon toast crunch guy. Anyways, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. But yeah, yeah, this season's definitely just kind of gonna be. That's just how it is. And in hindsight, maybe the schedule shouldn't have been so long. Like maybe we should have made it a little bit shorter. But I mean, I don't know. It's probably fine because you kind of want to get to all these different tracks just so we know what works for next season. But unfortunately, it's not going to be a smooth ride.
Yeah. And I feel like you guys kind of prefaced that when the season started that like, hey, it wasn't going to be perfect, but like you guys were going to try your best and that's all that matters. As long as people like have a good experience, I don't know what Craig is hearing, but I'm not hearing the same thing. So, um I know I at least I'm not hearing it. Um
Yeah, I don't hear it. I don't hear it either.
yeah. I mean, like I have AirPods in, so I don't know if
Yeah,
it's my AirPods,
I
but
don't know. I don't
it
hear
could be
anything.
that. I'm not taking them out, so they'll have to deal with it for the rest of the episode. so I don't really care whatever they're hearing. Um, Anywho,
Who the fuck was
let's move
that?
on. um,
Who the fuck was that?
let's talk about the winner of the race from this past weekend. So, Craigus collects his what second win now, I think, of the season,
Yeah, it's his
something like
second
that.
win.
Yeah. So sorry, just pulling points because I don't have the points easily accessible when I usually run the stream, but um, yeah. So Craigus won this past weekend, and um, he only has a 7 point gap, and like I know we'll talk about the points in a minute, but like he only has a 7 point gap, and that's not a lot to work with. Obviously, between um, him and Land, and then to you, there's a bit of a gap between the three of you guys, but like I think whoever seeds first and second is going to be very important. I think just because it will come down to points at the end of the day. So I think Craigus is definitely going to have to try and rack up some more points. He's had the lead in the points for the last several weeks now. Um, so I mean, it's not like he's doing a great job. It's just I don't really feel confident in him yet to pull away in the points because again, it's only 7 point gap. Um, Land, I don't want to say like Land's right on his ass, but like he's kind of right on his ass. Um, it's just that's like I'm looking at the stats. You can see the stats for yourselves. They're very, very close, I would say. In They have the same amount of top tens, obviously, but like top fives, they're very close. Stage wins, they're somewhat close. Like they have the first and second most stage wins of anybody else this season so far. Um, Playoff points, like I know that they don't really matter as much, or the stage points, they don't matter as much, but just I think their gap is closer than a lot of people think. So I wouldn't really rule out him as like the um automatic favorite, I guess, like somebody who's, you know, been constantly like the favorite every week, but he's definitely up there as like the one to watch every week. Like if we did the credit one ones to watch like they do every week in real life, I think he would definitely be in the mix of that. Um, but again, just since you have the points up now, just kind of going based off of what I see, I don't feel confident in him enough yet to seed first. It could be first or second for him.
Yeah. Um, I mean, if you look at the playoff points, I think Land and Craigus have definitely separated themselves. So they will both
Yeah,
be in pretty good positions whenever the chase starts. But we still got quite a few races left, so there's still time for people further back to kind of get some more playoff points, which I think that'll be really important because uh, I mean that's kind of where you're starting when the chase starts, so you kind of want to build up a good amount of playoff points. Um, and I know it's too early to say, but it really does seem like the playoff picture has started to take shape now. I know
yeah,
there's still a little bit of a battle at the cut line, but I I feel like that the six that are in there right now are probably going to be the six that make it. That I mean,
I
that's just my
yeah, I have to
feeling.
agree.
Like I don't really know that there's going to be much more of a battle. I don't see Benji overtaking Parker again for the rest of the season, if I'm being honest. So, and Jax is in such a delicate situation with his attendance, where if he misses one more race, he's out. And with his attendance
Yeah,
so far this season, I don't really trust him to do that. So I'm kind of eliminating him in my eyes. I don't think he would make the chase even if he does go on a run, just because of his attendance. And I kind of throw you in the same boat. Like you're not consistently showing up enough to where I think you could make up that big of a gap. So I think that the top seven
Yeah.
are probably the ones that realistically have a shot. And unfortunately, I don't see Benji making it in at this point.
Well, I think that's perfectly valid too because Benji, well, yes, like he has 197 and Parker has 210. The stage points, like they haven't really accumulated a lot of stage points, and um Benji only has two top fives and two stage wins. So, I mean, like, yes, Parker only has one stage win compared to him, but Parker also is running way more consistently than him, I would say, which is why he's above him. Um, like, Benji has a shot, but like, I just don't know if and he's somebody that like if on a good week where we get a lot of people to try and qualify in, there's a chance he doesn't make it in easily. You know, I would say everybody below him is out. That gap from seventh to eighth is just way too big to make up. Even if like Jax does attend every race from like here on out, um, I just think it's too big of a gap to make up because everybody above him is probably also going to be showing up. So they're also going to be attempting at accumulating the same amount of points. So, I- I fully agree. I honestly think that that top six is like how it's probably going to shake out. And it's interesting because those top six, like the points are very close. Like, yes, from second to third, there's a bit of a gap, but from third to sixth, there's only a 40-point gap, basically, maybe like a 43-point gap. So anybody in that bracket can move. Um, Not really sure kind of who would move around because like I feel like everybody's running pretty consistently right now. Um, but like at the top, those two could move too. So it's just there's a lot of movement within those six drivers. I think there's a lot of movement that could happen. But everybody below, I'm like, yeah, you're out. Sorry, you're the weakest link, dude. You're
Y-
out.
yeah, and I also kind of think that we can see who the contenders are at this point. Like, I think myself, Craigus, and Land have been consistently the top three, but I think like we'll show in our power rankings, but I think Parker has been pretty good this season too. He just necessarily hasn't had the finishes. And I mean, Wendigo had a good run at Texas, so I think if I had to pick like the group of drivers that I would pick to win a championship from, it would be the top three plus Wendigo and Parker. Um,
Mhm.
I Lego just is too inconsistent with his lag issues or I like whatever else goes on a week to week basis with him. And it really is unfortunate because he showed a lot of speed in the preseason. I know he's capable of it, but I just haven't seen it during the season. So um, he would be the one out for me. But other than that, I really think any of those drivers could go out and win a championship. And that's not to say Lego couldn't, because like I said, I mean he won the preseason championship. I definitely know he's capable of it. We haven't seen that so far.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree. Um, we'll have to see what happens. Like I always say, because I feel like anything's possible in this league anymore. So you never really know. I don't know why Land is doing snowflakes outside of the studio or angels
Well, I'll
in the
also
snow
I'll be interested
outside of
to
the
see
studio. But
how Lego does at Bristol because that's a track that he won at in the preseason. I expected more from him from Vegas earlier in the season because that was also a track that he won at, but I don't know that I would hit the panic button on Lego unless he like goes to Bristol and just does nothing. So I mean,
yeah,
maybe I'll wait and see on Lego a little bit more because we still got a little bit to go in the season. We're going to Bristol in a few weeks, so If he doesn't do anything at Bristol, then I would probably be hitting the panic button at that point. But he could go and win Bristol, and then his season's turned around, and he's a championship contender. So you know what I mean? It's still too early to say.
Well, but you have to remember that it's not the win and you're in format anymore.
Yeah, but I
Like
just mean
the
like
win doesn't like
in terms of
automatically.
momentum for him, because if he wins a race, like that would give him
Yeah.
so much momentum. I really think he would be dangerous
I
if he
mean,
does
like,
get a
why?
win.
A question that I would propose though is why wouldn't he be able to perform the same way this weekend? You know, where it's the same, kind of track. It's a short track. Um, you could even throw Darlington on there as not like a mile and a half because I think it's just under a mile and a half,
Right.
or it's something like that. It's kind of considered a short track, but or something like that. But the next three tracks that we're going to are unique in all of their ways, but like they could fit into his driving style. So, me personally, like he has an opportunity over the next 3 weeks to do something to turn this season around. I mean, yes, like Vegas, like he had an opportunity to show some speed, but like it was still early in the season, I feel like. Maybe just the team was not in a right headspace to perform. Um, but we are now like over halfway through the regular season, and there is just absolutely no way that he does not show up to these next three races, especially. And if he outperforms, or like if he underperforms, I should say, um, you know, that's definitely not something that they're still trying to work on with the team. Uh, Sorry, that's I feel like at that point that's something more internally, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree.
If you can pick up what I'm putting down.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but yeah, I you know being on the same team, obviously I have a lot of respect, but at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you have to perform. You have to come to these tracks, and you are up against like, the best of the league here. So I really don't know, if we get past these next three races, what that kind of means for him.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he handles it for sure. I mean, he's still in a
Yeah.
good point situation, but once we get to the chase, people are gonna have to win races if they want to win a championship. Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
there's no way around it. You're not gonna win the championship this season if you're not winning races. So, um, if you're not winning races in the regular season, and then you're expecting to go win a championship, it's like I don't really know what to tell you because you're gonna need to go win at least two, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. I fully agree. Um, I know we put the points away, but did you want to mention anything else with the points before we go on
No,
that you
I
were
think we
seeing?
pretty much covered everything there.
Okay, cool. All right. We're gonna move into our pump the gas at the brakes portion of the episode. We're gonna do things a little differently. The last few weeks we've been doing prompts pertaining to the league, obviously, but like we wanted to switch things up a little bit for this episode, maybe going forward too. So we're gonna do two prompts pertaining to the league, and then we'll do two prompts pertaining to in real life. So I guess we can do one, and then I'll do one, and then I'll flip back and forth. So I'll start with the league. Um, there's going to be a new record for single driver wins in one season. I believe the highest right now is 4 or 5. I don't know, Lane, or maybe you can back me up on that.
I believe the road car current all-time wins in a season is 6, but I'm sure people in the chat
Okay.
could confirm that. But I think Land won 6 one season, and I believe that is the record. If anybody in the chat
Okay.
can prove me wrong, then please let me know. All right, nobody's saying anything, so I assume it's right.
Yeah, I assume it's correct. Um, Somebody will probably chime in though. Anywho, did you want to go first, or should I go first?
I can go first, and I would say hit the brakes. I don't really see anybody winning 7 races. I think that's what it would be, right? Yeah, I don't see anybody winning, and we only have people that have won 2 races so far. So I mean, you're talking about Land or Craigus winning 5 more races. I I don't know. I don't really see that personally, so I'm gonna hit the brakes.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna um pump the gas, I think, on that one because me personally, I think that I am all about the chaos and the calamity of everything. Um, and yes, like I know the highest number of wins anybody has gotten to yet is 2. And we are halfway through the regular season, but I think that there's still plenty more weeks to go. Um, Plenty of time for people to rack 5 more wins easily. Um, I mean, it'll be interesting to see maybe who gets there, but I think those top 2 guys, maybe top 3 guys, I think those eventually will be the guys that are back to kind of the routine of winning every week, or at least in the mix every single week. I know we've had a couple other winners, but I wouldn't be surprised. All right, next question. So you guys may or may not have seen the news today. Uh, so there is another lawsuit that just broke, kind of. JGR is suing Chris Gabehart apparently because he stole valuable information and decided to go Spire with it, Spire Motorsports. So Joe Gibbs is suing Chris Gabehart. Um, Kind of crazy. Did not expect to see that one coming. I don't know about you, later, but did not expect to see that coming. Only because I just for starters, I know that like during the lawsuit in like the December kind of November-ish months, I think Denny had said that on one of the days when the reporter had asked him that he had like quietly left the team. Um, so I feel like there was always more to the story, but like nothing ever came out about that. Um, so now I guess it makes sense on what came out of that, I guess. But the prompt here is Team JGR, Team Chris Gabehart, and I feel like I have to go Team JGR all the way. Just because, just through looking through some of the documents today, when everything came out in the court ruling, um, I could see right off the bat that like he's cooked. He's cooked. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's he might be going to jail for the rest of his life or facing like severe civil penalties. Because I don't know if like Joe Gibbs is going after him for like criminal or civil penalties. Whatever it is, though, I feel like Chris Gabehart has nothing to defend himself. So, um, pump the gas, give me Team JGR all the way. That's how I look at it. But I'll pass it over to you.
I completely agree. I don't really think that there's anything he can do to defend himself in this situation. But I mean, we've really only seen one side to the story, so it'll kind of be interesting to see whenever his side of the story comes out. But yeah, I mean, with everything we've seen, I'm definitely gonna go Team GGR as well.
Okay. Yeah. I I feel like that is the right way to go. For right now, at least, I'm sure there's going to be another side to the story, but like he had everything on his computer and he leaked all of, well, he didn't leak it, but like the information was easily accessible. So that's what, like he didn't really protect himself very well. He didn't set himself up to kind of be protected from a potential lawsuit. So I would say from the get-go, just he did not make himself look good. Um, but it'll be interesting to see it unfold. So now we have another season of a lawsuit to look forward to. Um, so just when we thought one was closing, one another one is opening. So should be fun to follow along with that. All right, next prompt. So within our league, we will have the closest finish, one of the closest finishes in history again for this league, or the closest finish. Um, Obviously, like my memory goes back to the 500 in the beginning of the season, with your win. Um, but before that, I know it's been quite some time since we've had close finishes. So I'm gonna hit the brakes, I think, just because I see a lot of these tracks coming up and I'm like, meh, like I don't really know if like it would produce a close finish at all. Um Maybe Daytona coming up. Um it really depends. Like obviously the road course is not going to be close. We have a road course coming up um after the short tracks in Nashville, but like I honestly don't see in my head any of these tracks coming up, besides Daytona, where it could be close, like remotely close.
I would definitely hit the brakes as well. Um, I think
Yeah.
I think Daytona is really the only one that we have left that even really has the possibility for that. Um, Other than that, I don't really see it anywhere else. I mean, I guess Richmond or Milwaukee or some of these short tracks are a possibility, but I don't really think that we're gonna have another close one like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be hard, I think, to kind of replicate what we've already seen. It has to be set up like perfectly for that to happen again. So if the cards are correct, if we get the opportunity to see another close finish, I don't think it'll be this season. It might be at the top of the next season. So, all right. Last prompt, and then we will move on. Um, will we see 16 winners in the Cup Series this year? I am going to hit the brakes again. I know, like, yes, they changed the format. I mean, I know a lot of people though will still be trying to win. I think we'll at least have over 10 different winners. I honestly think, we could get close to 16. I believe last season we got to like 13, 14, maybe. So we got close, but like um it's doable. I just don't think it'll happen. Um I think once people get in the groove and we kind of get going with the season, um I honestly think like it's gonna be one of those seasons where like maybe back in like 2019, how you saw um, Martin win like maybe 7, 8 races. Like I feel like some of those drivers are gonna be more kind of like uh, they're gonna be more apparent this season. than the last few seasons. I feel like with the new car, there hasn't really been a driver that has gone above, I think, like 5 wins. 5 or 6 wins has been like the most I think anybody's ever scored in a single season in the car. Um, but I definitely do think that like we will not see 16 different winners. But I could be wrong. But yeah, I don't feel confident enough in that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't think that we're gonna get to 16. I think we'll probably get around 12 or 13 or 14. I don't really remember like how many we had last season, or the past few seasons, but I think it'll be pretty similar to that. Probably like 13 or 14 would be my guess. So I would hit the brakes on that as well.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on. What do we have here? Um, okay, power rankings. Do you want to do yours first?
Yeah, I can go ahead with mine. Let me pull them up really quick. If there we go. Okay. All right. So mine pretty much stayed the same. Other than I have Wendigo moving up 3 spots, Jax moving down 2 spots, and CSP moving down 1 spot. I think I felt pretty good about the top four all season. I think, like I've said, whenever we were talking about the points, I think Parker is. I think he's a lot better than what his points have shown. I mean, he did miss Phoenix, and he's kind of gotten screwed over of some finishes. Um, so I think he's a lot better than what his points show. Wendigo, I bumped him up quite a bit because he had a pretty good run during the 600. I think he finished third, so got to give him some credit for that. And then Jack's jumping down. I mean, he's just really hasn't shown up too much, so it's kind of why I moved him down. But other than that, everything's pretty much status quo.
Yeah, nothing much on my end. Didn't really change much. I moved Wendigo up to fourth, and Parker stayed in fifth. I'm just comparing mine to yours. And then I put Jax down in seventh. I believe everybody else stayed the same though. Yeah, yeah. So ours are pretty similar. Um, but I moved Jax down just because he um, wasn't really like there at all. He didn't show up according to what you and I had talked about before we hopped on. But I mean, I would say like these rankings are starting to iron out. Like to be more stable, which is a good sign for some and a bad sign for some as well because it kind of if you're not moving up and you're down, you're not really running where you should be running. Um, but I think it's just something to keep in mind, for these drivers over the next few weeks. Um, kind of, it maybe puts a pep in their step to kind of get their shit together. Yeah. Um, all right, cool, cool. All right, shall we move on again? Oh, there is a lot going on behind us. I don't know what is going on. Somebody just fell off the studio roof. Um,
Nothing new.
okay. Why don't we like encourage that people continue practicing while we're here? While we're here, people that are here, if you're not driving a car, maybe just hop in the car. Let us do our thing. We'll let you do your thing. It'll be a nice, good old time. Okay. Richmond, Richmond, Richmond. Okay. Let me pull up the race information. Okay. So the race is kicking off at 6:45 tomorrow night. practice is at 6:50. Qualifying is at 7:10. The laps are 190 laps. Stages are 50, 50, and 90 for a total of 190. What do you think we are going to see around this track? I believe. Let me take a look back at the lineup. I believe though that this is kind of like the first short track of the season. So um, the first official short track, I should say.
Yeah.
What do you make of the track we're heading to this weekend?
Well, I thought that the race we did last weekend here at Richmond went really well. There was a lot of back and forth action. Um, so I think it should put on a good race. There it seemed like that you could pass pretty easy, so I'm expecting a lot of passing. Tire wear seems to be a thing, so I'm really optimistic. I'm hoping it's a good race.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping the lag will stay away. Um, hoping we won't have any issues, hopefully. Um, but I honestly think that it should be a good race if everything plays out as it should. Um, any front runners you're looking at right now?
Just basing off of the race last week, and I know not everybody ran in it. Myself, Land, and Craigus seemed really fast in that race, and Wendigo was up there as well. Um, but I mean, that's basically all the Cup guys that were in the race. So I think really everybody will be fast. It doesn't really seem as much like the old Richmond where it was really particular to the line that you're running. It kind of seems like it's more track position based because I was kind of running like mid pack and then I got track position late in the race and I was competing for the win. So I think it's more gonna be like where you're at late in the race, depending on if you win or not. Just from my in my opinion, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely could be a track position race, and it'll be interesting to see kind of this is a tricky pit road to get on and off of. The under green, I mean, like this race could definitely go green, I think. And it is a long race, so I definitely think that we will see some pit stops under green, and when that happens, I anticipate a lot of penalties because it is very hard to get the car to slow down approaching the pit lane entry. So, and some people sometimes often miss it. So I think like to the officials and the commentators, keep watch of the commitment line because a lot of people might have issues with it this weekend. Um, if people are not practicing enough, I would say, that is definitely something you should take advantage of is practicing your pit lane speeds. As well as practicing getting on and off pit road because even when you're on pit road, it's easier to speed because you're going around turns 3 and 4 for part of it, and then you're going off of you're going on.
Penalty, you're probably going to be 2 or 3 laps down.
Oh yeah,
That
easily.
that might be the end of your race right there. So it's not a track that you want to get caught speeding at. It's not a track that you really want to get any type of penalty at because I think people are going to go laps down just based off pace. Like, I would not be surprised if we have people going laps down. So you really don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and put yourself a lap down on purpose. Because I think if you get trapped more than 1 lap down, you're going to stay there. Because I think people will be getting lapped as the race goes along, and then you're not going to end up getting the free pass at that point. So you're just kind of
Yeah.
screwed.
Oh well, we may have to add in the pit limiter actually, because we just got a report that there is actually no pit limiter in the game right now. So um, just practice like you're going 55. That's all. Just practice. Um, but I mean, like I've mastered this track on the other version of the game, but when I was running laps the other night, it was nothing. like that other game, the other game. Um, this track with this car is very, very different. So the racing that we will see, I think, is going to be also very different. So I honestly think that I think that it's going to be a good show as long as like we don't have the typical problems of lag and trying to complete a lap without running into each other on a track like this. Um, as long as we can get through those things, I think 190 laps is doable.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping it goes good, but yeah, kind of like you said, there's really no telling on a week to week basis, especially with the new cars. So I mean, we did do a race earlier in the week and it went pretty well. So I'm more optimistic than I've been in weeks past, but you really never know until you get out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, anything else you're kind of paying attention to this weekend?
No, not really. I mean, you kind of already mentioned it's the first short track, so it'll be interesting to see if we have new people that show up and be contenders at this type of track, or if it'll just kind of be the same group of people that are running up front.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we very well may find out, there's a new kind of person in town taking over, the short tracks, and that may be figured out tomorrow. So, um, if there's a new contender and he's up front, we'll have to find out who it might be. I think people have been pretty good though with like logging laps in advance this season more than anything. I will give some credit to that because we emphasized in the beginning of the season that like it was very, very important for people to make sure that they practice. And I think that people have taken advantage of that opportunity to, hop in their own server and, log laps on their own. Um, and I think it's actually really benefited people too because um, they can kind of plan out their strategies a little more in advance now. Because in the other cars, you could get away with like qualifying with no practice, and you could still like you could not worry about your tires for a while. You could not worry about your gas for a while. This car, I know the tires have their mini issues, but like the car still handles differently as the tires wear and as the gas goes down. You get more conservative with the car and how you drive it with your acceleration usage. So I honestly think that like a lot of people have been testing their ability um, and like their drive ability um, every week so far, and I honestly like I give kudos to everybody because a guy like me, I don't really have the time like that right now, but for everybody that's making time for it, it's really, really good to see. So I'm glad that people are actually taking the time to log laps and stuff.
Yeah, and it's definitely I feel like it's kind of necessary in these cars, just because of
Yeah.
how technical they are, and it's a lot different than the old cars. So if you don't practice, you're kind of just gonna get left behind. Um, just with how these cars race and everything. The fraction of a second makes a difference. It's kind of like the next gen car. I mean, um, all the cars are just really like so close together that every little advantage that you can gain makes such a big difference. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but I mean, the lap times that we run at each track are just so close together that they're just like literally half of a second off, you know? Like someone will be running 21.1s and then someone will be running 21.3s. So that zero point 0.2 seconds is the difference in winning the race or not winning the race. It's just really like extremely close out there in these cars.
Yeah, I fully agree. Um, all right. Well, I don't think there was anything else with Richmond. If we wanted to move on from that, maybe. Um, I want to save for like who I'm looking forward to, like my race winner pick. I want to save it for who I think is going to be like mostly running up front the entire race. But I'll leave it for that point. We still have to get through our next segment. So for now, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to throw in though.
No, I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay, cool. All right, well then let's move into our rate the race for this week. I will hand it over to you to give your rating first.
Honestly, I'll probably give it like a 65. Um, yeah, I was not pleased with the overall event. Whenever you think of the 600, you think of it being at Charlotte, and we had set Charlotte up with all the patriotic decor and the flyover, the pre-race, all that stuff. And it just didn't really work out. And then we're moving to Texas in the middle of the race, and you're trying to do 160 laps at Texas. It's just it it wasn't enjoyable for me. Texas really wasn't configured for a race either. Like the handling of the cars was just terrible. Um, which that was mostly just because we hadn't planned a race there, so it really hadn't been configured at all. But yeah, overall, I was not happy with it. I thought the racing was pretty terrible, and I just wish it was ran at Charlotte. So I'm giving it like a 65. Probably would have given it a 60, but I'll give it a 65.
Okay. Um, I am actually going to give it a 60, I think. Um, I honestly think that, I didn't see the race myself. Um, but, from what I've heard from a couple other people I've talked to, and just, some of the conversation I've seen take place, like within the forum, for example, um, I honestly think that, it very well could have been a lot better of a race. I think everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, unfortunately. And I honestly, I was hoping that you guys would be able to start and complete the race there from start to finish. It just didn't work out that way, unfortunately. But sometimes it's just how it is, I guess. I don't really know. But, one thing that I do know is that, despite all of that, you guys still worked around it. And, it's still something to be kind of proud of. But yeah, it just kind of sucks that it's becoming kind of like a weekly thing of like it could be hit or miss. Um, so I definitely hope like this gets figured out soon, so that way tracks like Charlotte, you guys can run the full scheduled laps for. Um, because I think it would certainly benefit everybody who practices and puts in the time every week for it. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with a 60.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, and it's definitely frustrating to plan all week for a race and then just switch last minute. So yeah, not to take anything away from Craigus though. I mean, he figured out a way to win, and I mean, we kind of talked about it before, but that's just kind of what that team has done this season. So
Yeah,
Land also ran really well too, but yeah, I mean, that's good job for Craigus. I mean, he adapted with the track switch and found a way to win. So, you know.
yeah, I fully agree. All right, let's move to our race winner picks then. I'll go first since you went first last segment. I am just gonna say right out of the gate, I'm gonna go with Land. Um, Shocker, I know. I honestly just think that um, I think he did win the D2 race. I'm pretty sure. Um, so, oh, okay. I think never mind. Sorry, I saw something in chat. Um, I honestly think that like he has been able to log some laps already, um, from the D2 race to now, logging laps left and right. I honestly think though that like the old car, you know, he he told me, and he's been very open about the fact that like he just did not perform well here. But this car obviously is completely different, from inside to out. So I honestly think that like this track might suit him now, or if it's the car that might suit his driving style more. I'm not really sure. But he did win that race, and I'm curious to see how he can maneuver around here with a longer lap count, and use what he learned during that race in this one.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I think Land will be really fast. He was able to build a few decent sized leads in the D2 race, and me and him were kind of challenging for the lead at the end, and he kind of made me look silly. So um, yeah, Land is definitely a good pick. I'm gonna go with Parker actually. He didn't run the D2 race, but I think this is a track that Parker will be good at, and I think that that team's been really fast this year. So I think this is the week that they finally get it done and they get into victory lane.
Okay, it's a good pick. Good pick. Um, well, we'll have to find out and see what happens. I honestly think we'll be able to run the full laps here. I feel like short tracks are more doable when it comes to like lag and stuff, and hopefully it won't be an issue. But you know, I hope you guys will tune in this weekend. It's going to be kicking off tomorrow night. We'll have to find out what happens when we take the green flag here at Richmond. 190 laps. Again, just a reminder for the schedule. The pre-race meeting starts at 6:45. Practice at 6:50 and qualifying at 7:10. All Eastern Standard Times. So just keep that in mind for tomorrow. But I hope you all enjoy the race, and